Now, there was a couple of things that I had left out of yesterday's episode, and I'm sure that some of you noticed at least one of them, and probably one or two of you noticed the other. Anyway, first of all, I had said to somebody that I was going to talk about why we're not doing the Rodney now, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But what happened was I had left out a whole little scene here. I had gone from the microscope where I had said, all right, let's put on a second coat. And the next thing you saw was I was painting it with a Tamiya. Yeah, I left this out. Now, I have been trying to think, what is it that I could have splattered on there after I did the reinforcing with the CA glue? And I can't think of anything. They're not covering. They are not covering. It's like the drawings that the kids made with crayons on the wall. They're just reappearing. Well, is it really that important? I mean, this thing is so small. I mean, nobody's going to see it anyway, right? You know, it could be that when we use the Tamiya white flat, or flat white, maybe that'll cover better. Okay, this shouldn't take too long to dry because I didn't put, it's not real heavy. So, yeah, you can still see them there. Yeah, they just cover and then reappear. Okay. I imagine you've got it figured out that we have not as yet received our phone call from Cellar Dweller. Now, about the Rodney, and why are we not doing the Rodney now, being as we've got it? Well, okay, this is the way it went. After I finished the Bismarck, or almost was done, I ordered the Hood. I should have ordered it a lot earlier than I did. I should have ordered it 2 or 3 months after, before the Bismarck was done, because I should have known that this sort of thing could happen, which did. And in other words, it's taking forever to get here. But in my mind, I wanted to do the Hood after the Bismarck. And then I was thinking, well, you know what? In about a year and a half after the Hood is done, I'd like to do the Rodney. Maybe I should get it now. So I ordered the Rodney, and it came a lot sooner. Obviously. So I know we could do the Rodney right now, but I want to do the Hood first. I've been saying that all along, but maybe I haven't been making it clear. I have a tendency to ramble, and I think probably people are tuning me out. Anyway, yeah, I know we could do the Rodney now, but I want to do the Hood, and I really did think I was going to get a phone call yesterday. Yeah. Now, there's another reason why I want to do the Hood before the Rodney. The Hood is actually going to be a slightly longer model than the Bismarck is, so it's going to fill the case better. The Rodney is actually shorter than the Bismarck. It's going to be you might say, the little guy, even though it is going to be a large model. I also think that the Hood might possibly be a slightly more interesting model to look at from a visual standpoint, but maybe not. The Rodney has unique things about it as well. I don't think that some people might disagree with me. They might prefer the Rodney. However, I want to do the Hood first because in my mind it will look the best, and there is the chance that after a year and a half from now, I may not feel like doing a third one. And as long as I'm only going to have 2 models in that big case, well, I want them to be the Bismarck and the Hood. In other words, the 2 most impressive looking ones. Now, that being said, don't go thinking that that there's something wrong here, and I think I'm not going to last for 2 or 3 years. I'm really hoping that things will continue on. But of course, that's everybody's thinking, right? Everybody thinks you're going to live forever. Well, you just plain aren't. So let's just do the Hood first and then the Rodney. I know I'm beating this to death here, and the reason I've actually got these out here has nothing to do with the explanation of why I want to do the hood first. And this has gone on long enough now. Let's talk about this. Okay, these are the nameplates that came with the Bismarck. As you can see, I haven't done anything with them. And I was thinking, okay, when I paint these, I guess I'll just spray the whole thing with a primer, and then I'll probably spray it again with whatever color I want to, have the background of the letters, and then I'll just very carefully by hand paint the letters. And I was thinking to myself, well, when I do that, I'm going to have to really be careful that I don't let the paint run off of the letter and down onto the area that I painted. And then I thought, you know what, maybe I'm thinking of doing this backwards. Maybe what I should do is, spray it with a primer, then spray the whole thing the color that I want the letters to be, and then do the background last, because you'll be able to take your paintbrush and just sort of very carefully go right up to the edge. Just almost let it pool itself in. I don't know. What do you think? Anybody got any experts out there? Got any ideas? I really appreciate the comments I got. Oh, speaking of comments, a guy made a very interesting suggestion. Now, you won't have seen it because it was in a episode from way back when I was painting the boot line on the Bismarck, and he suggested a real neat way of painting the boot line. And what you do is you paint a wide area in black, because you want a black boot line, so you paint a wide area in black, and then you put a piece of masking tape the right width over the black, and then that covers up your black. It's going to be there. Then you paint the lower half with the hull red, and the upper half then whatever gray you're going to use, and then you peel off the masking tape, and your boot line is perfect. And I'm going to actually do that. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, enough rambling on here. Now, speaking about how things change and how what you want to do, or at least what I want to do this year may not be what I want to do in a year or two down the road. Yesterday my neighbor came over and he wanted me to cut a little piece of wood for him to a particular size, which we did. Found a little piece of scrap 3/8" plywood, and we cut it to size. It needed a hole drilled in one end. It was a very simple job. Probably altogether we were only about 10 minutes doing it. And when I was down there, I sort of thanked him for coming over, and I said, this is kind of fun, and I genuinely meant it. Then I was thinking, I used to spend hours and hours and hours down in my workshop, and now I don't particularly care. Things change. We may not actually do the Rodney, but I think we will. Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is going to be one of those episodes that's going to be maybe a little bit disjointed, and I'm just going to talk about what I'm thinking about at the time. They can't all be good episodes, guys. Anyway, I'm probably going to use the Stynel Res primer. I have white, gray, and black. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. I'm probably going to have a dark background and gold lettering, so I don't know. Anyway, what I was noticing is that on the back of this particular nameplate, you can notice it right there, there appears to be what might be mold release. Now, let's just take some isopropyl here. This will only take a minute. Okay, let's just see if that comes off. Well, it kind of is. Yeah, that's probably mold release. I notice there's some right here too. You can see it's kind of a little bit dark right there. Maybe isopropyl isn't the best thing for dissolving mold release, but I don't know what else that could be. So in other words, if it's on this side, it might also be on this side as well. So I'm probably going to want to wash this off really good in soapy water, maybe even use the ultrasonic cleaner. I don't think the ultrasonic cleaner will hurt the finish of the plastic. On the other hand, being as it's plastic and it's soft, maybe the little bubbles can't cavitate it properly on it because it's too soft. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure of how that works, but anyway. Now what I should have said was that the bubbles, which had cavitated because of the ultrasonic vibrations, will not implode properly on a soft material like they will on a hard material. That's sort of what I was getting at. I meant to say implode, not cavitate. In other words, I'm going to have to make sure I clean it really good before we use the Steinel res. Hey, I'm getting better at that. Now I realize that I had said, let's keep our model table clear so that we can do a box opening. However, today is Saturday, and in all likelihood, Cellar Dweller is not going to be calling us. I don't think they would be getting deliveries from their wholesaler on a Saturday. Cellar Dweller is closed Sunday and Monday, so that puts us to Tuesday at the earliest that we're probably going to be able to do a box opening. And I'm just sort of getting really tired of speculating now. So let's just sort of forget about the box opening for a little bit here and just sort of carry on with what I was sort of talking about before. And that was the boot line. And I've got some 2mm tape. I think this is about 18mm. And this one here is 10mm. So I'm thinking, well, this is probably too thin, and the 10mm is probably too thick, or too wide. And because I couldn't imagine that, let's say we take our 10mm tape here, multiply that by 200 to bring it to the scale. Well, in reality, that would make this 2,000 millimeters wide. And I was thinking, well, the boot line wouldn't be 2 meters wide. And then I thought, well, how wide is the boot line? Well, I did a little bit of investigating here, and it turns out, well, I'm going to show you what I did. Now, do you remember when I was measuring something with a microscope? I took a known size and then I put a ruler up against what it was we were trying to measure and sized it that way. Well, I'm sort of doing that here. I found a drawing of the hood, as you can see, and it shows the boot line, and the boot line is a lot wider than I thought it was. I did compare it with other drawings and photographs, and yeah, I guess it was wide like that. Okay, so that's kind of good news. Now, what I've done here is I've drawn a yellow box. You can see it? And, first of all, I should mention that what I did was I sized the hood in CorelDRAW here, so I'll select it. Okay, now up here you can see it is 860.5 millimeters. Okay, that's how I drew it out. Now, in reality, the hood was 860.5 feet. So in other words, we've got 860.5 units. Doesn't matter what they are. Could even be miles. Although I don't think you can draw anything that big in CorelDRAW. Anyways, we're just gonna leave our drawing of the hood here like this. We're gonna take our yellow box and we're gonna put it here up against the top of the boot line, and I'm just gonna zoom in here. Okay, let's put that up there, about like that. That looks pretty close. Maybe it could come down just a little bit here. That looks pretty accurate. See what happens if I go up. You know what? Maybe I would be better off not having a line. Let me remove the line on this thing here. So I'll go like this, and no line. There we are. Now we just got a plain yellow box. That makes it a lot easier to get it right on the edge here. I know what I'm doing, but I'm not making any sense, I'm sure. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's zoom back out so I can grab the bottom of it. Alright, now we're going to take the bottom and we're going to go up like so. Now we'll move in a little bit so we can be a little bit more accurate. Okay, right now the yellow box is selected, and you'll notice in the upper left-hand side of the screen up here, when I change the size of the box, it also changes the value on the screen there. So right now, that's pretty close. Okay, now remember our hood is 860.5 millimeters long. Now right now just the yellow box is selected, and it is 6.876 millimeters. Now we don't need to get that accurate. Now so that would indicate feet. Now that's almost exactly 6.8 feet is pretty much exactly 2 meters. Well, I didn't calculate it out, but I just sort of know that a meter is a little longer than 3 feet, right? So I'm starting to ramble here again. Anyway, yeah, so the boot line was approximately 2 meters. It may have been exactly 2 meters for all I know, but I don't think so. Yeah, so anyway, we got it close enough. Unless you are an expert, you're not going to know if it's a little bit too wide or a little bit too narrow. And there's probably not going to be any experts looking at my model. So, yeah, 2 meters. Yeah, well, that's kind of good news. That means that Tamiya tape, that 10 millimeter tape, it's going to be perfect, at least for the hood. I don't know about the Rodney, but we'll worry about the Rodney when we get to it. Okay, I have this Stynylrez black, yeah, there it is, black primer, and I think what we'll do is we'll just use this as the for the boot line. I may or may not use that on the when we get the hood, but anyway, don't need to worry about that right now. So I'll spray the end of it here with the Stynylrez black. Then after it dries, we'll put a piece of tape down, and we'll paint the bottom half with the hull red, top half with the gray. But that's going to have to be tomorrow and I guess the next day, because we have to let our paints dry. And this 10 millimeter masking tape is going to be a perfect size. I just can't believe the coincidence. For once, something's going right. Anyway, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow in the spray booth.